Hello and welcome. I'm Millicent Walker. Tonight, Nigeria's labour unions held nationwide protests demanding implementation of the 30,000 naira minimum wage for workers. Federal government promises to transmit new minimum wage bill to the National Assembly by January the 23rd. And violence mars opening of Lagos State All Progressives Congress governorship rally in Ikeja. 3 persons, including a journalist, injured in shootout between suspected thugs. And drone sighting temporarily halts flights departures from London's Heathrow Airport.
And on business news tonight, Nigerian Export-Import Bank meets stakeholders on exports diversification for agriculture and small-medium enterprises.
On sports news tonight, Egypt striker and Liverpool player Mohamed Salah wins the CAF African Footballer of the Year award for the 2nd time.
And from Abuja, Chief of Air Staff renews commitment to fight against terror as 5 Air Force men who lost their lives in a helicopter crash are laid to rest.
Organised labour today made good its promise to hit the streets to drive home its demand for the implementation of the 30,000 naira minimum wage as recommended by the Tripartite Committee. The protest, which held all over the country, follows the expiration of the December 31st ultimatum given to President Buhari to transmit a bill to the National Assembly on the new national minimum wage proposal. Our next report captures the labour unions' protests in the Federal Capital Territory and some states in the north.
This protest is coming few hours after a meeting between the federal government and the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), which ran from late Monday the 7th of January into the early hours of Tuesday, the 8th of January 2019. According to the NLC, the protest is expected to commit all parties to the implementation of the 30,000 naira new minimum wage.
In every state, our workers will go to the doorstep of the governors. Let them tell their workers and their pensioners and their family what is their standpoint on the 30,000. When the 18,000 minimum wage was implemented in 2011, in fact, inflation actually dropped. We have statistics from National Bureau of Statistics that have pointed to this fact, that there is no correlation between increase in minimum wage and inflation.
In Abuja, the protesters were at the Federal Capital Development Authority, where they had hoped to meet with the FCT minister, but met his absence. The Jigawa State chapter of the NLC also joined in the protest march. The chairman of the union in Jigawa believes that state governors can pay the proposed amount if they cut down on their spendings.
Every Nigerian knows that once our state governors cut down on their habit of wasteful spending, there will be more than enough fund to pay workers the new national minimum wage of 30,000.
In Kaduna State, members of the NLC gathered in the state capital, where they insist that no threat from government can stop them from a shutdown if government fails to pass the national minimum wage into law.
We are only pressing home our legitimate demand, which the Labour Act gives us, that after every 5 years there will be a wage increase. And this is almost the 7th year now. Our patience has almost been exhausted, and by this consideration, the next line of action is to shut down everywhere.
The Taraba State chapter of the Nigerian Labour Congress took their protest to the Government House, Jalingo, where the NLC chairman presented a copy of their protest letter to the secretary to the state government.
We can no longer continue to watch things being delayed. Federal government should expedite every effort to see that this demand is submitted to the National Assembly for onward passage to a law for it to be implemented in Nigeria.
There is victory for us, victory.
The protests in Nasarawa State had a low turnout, but they were received by the head of civil service in the state, who assured them of the state government's cooperation.
Our governor has never shied away. On different forums, he has said that when the new minimum wage is approved, the state will pay it. And I think that We have not deviated from that position.
The protest also held in Sokoto State. Despite the claim by many state governors that they will be unable to pay the current 18,000 naira minimum wage, the Nigeria Labour Congress insists that all states can pay the proposed 30,000 naira.
Similar protests took place in other parts of the country, including the country's commercial nerve centre, Lagos. Our correspondent Loretta Chiogo reports.
Organized labor pushed through streets across the country in a peaceful rally over the non-implementation of the new minimum wage of 30,000 naira. The Organized Labor Union, Organized Private Sector and the federal government in the tripartite committee had ended a meeting in 2018 declaring 30,000 as the minimum wage after several deliberations. Workers in their numbers chant solidarity songs with their placards stating their demands. In Bayelsa State, in the South-South region, workers marched to the government house where they assured that the government would pay the minimum wage of 30,000 naira. It is same assurance in Edo State, also in the South-South region of the country.
I assure you here on behalf of the executive governor of the state that the state government will go ahead to implement.
In Oyo and Osun states in the southwest of the country, the action is not different. Workers demand immediate implementation of the 30,000 naira new minimum wage.
This is the right time, because Nigerian workers have been used. And then we are now wise. Our politicians make us to be wise. So before we can count our vote for anybody, we will know the person is going to take care of our interests. It will make the workers' budget into their budget.
Workers in Lagos marched from Maryland to the seat of government in Alausa area of the state. They distribute flyers to sensitize the people of a planned strike if an agreement is not reached between the labor union and the federal government.
You all know for the past 2 years we have been on negotiation of minimum wage, which tripartite committee came out with 30,000 naira minimum wage. The bill has been submitted to the federal government, which was received by the president himself. So our expectation is for the president to transmit this bill to House of Senate, House of Rep. Up till now, nothing has been done.
The labor union had met in Lagos on December 31st, 2018, announcing its readiness to resume its suspended strike if the new minimum wage is not implemented, while rejecting further meetings over the matter.
Nigerians go to the poll in February, but for these workers behind me, it is not a time to vote in any politician who is not on their side.
The earlier peaceful rally turns chaotic as workers are prevented from entering the government office by the police. On the other side, our camera captures the governor's convoy pulling out from the office from another gate. News of his absence angers the workers. They are placated by the leader to allow the governor's representative receive the letter containing their demands for onward transfer to the National Assembly. Loretta Chiogo, Channels Television News.
In the meantime, the federal government has set a timeline of January the 23rd this year to transmit the new minimum wage bill to the National Assembly with a view to fast-tracking the implementation of a new wage structure for Nigerian workers. After a meeting with the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress and its allies in Abuja, the Minister of Labour and Employment assured the Labour leaders that the government will be presenting the recommendations of the Tripartite Committee to the State Security Council in the coming weeks. According to him, the whole process that precedes the transmission of the bill to the National Assembly will be completed before January the 23rd.
We have a target time of January 23, 2009, and We hope that all things being equal, the executive will be able to do so. We will take on the statutory meetings of Federal Executive Council, National Economic Council, and the National Council of States to enable us to transmit the bill on the new national minimum wage. So I want to thank you for your cooperation and your understanding on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria. And we will then appeal to you that the threats should now come down.
Ahead of the 2019 general elections, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has warned politicians against vote buying. Professor Yakubu, who was speaking in Abuja at a consultative meeting with journalists, reaffirmed the Commission's commitment to conducting free, fair and credible elections with the use of smart card readers. Professor Yakubu also announced plans to closely monitor campaign finance and spending by political parties and candidates in line with the Electoral Act and guidelines.
Let me re-emphasize the Commission's policy that the smart card readers will be used for the 2019 general elections for accreditation of voters. For clarity, I wish to stress that the function of the smart card reader during accreditation of voters is to confirm, verify, and authenticate the voter. First, it shall be used to confirm that the PVC is genuine and issued by INEC. Cloned cards and cards that do not match the codes for particular polling units in which the voters are registered will be rejected by the smart card readers. Secondly, the card reader shall be used to verify that the voter who presents the PVC is the actual owner of the card, by ensuring that the personal details on the card reader are consistent with the manual register for the polling unit. Thirdly, the card reader shall be used to authenticate the fingerprint of the voter as an additional confirmatory procedure. If the fingerprint is not authenticated by the card reader, but the PVC is confirmed as genuine and the voter's personal details are consistent with the manual register, the voter shall be allowed to vote.
Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo is urging Nigerians to vote for a candidate who will make better use of public funds. Speaking at a rally in the nation's capital, Professor Osinbajo reminded the gathering that corruption is Nigeria's major challenge, which he says has heightened, or rather was heightened, by the previous administration. Our correspondent Gloria Mezuke reports.
Chants, chairs and dance. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, party stalwarts and supporters flaunt the 4+4 symbol using their hands, representing support towards the president's re-election bid. This is the first leg of the Drive for Osinbajo rally, beginning in the nation's capital. Shouts rend the air as supporters are asked to compare regimes.
Listen attentively. There are two banks. One is Buhari Bank. Another one is Atiku Bank. Where will you deposit your money?
Number one, security. Number two, fighting corruption. Number three, improving economy. Mr. President has scored very, very high, but we have not finished.
Amidst the thrill, the Vice President made it clear that the nation is going forward.
By the time we are finished, this country will be better than many of the European countries you know, many of the other countries. This country will be better. Why am I so sure? I'm very sure because of the type of leader we have. I'm very sure. I know that he's not going to steal the money. Because no matter what plans you have, no matter the plan, no matter how good the plan is, if the leader is going to steal the money, the plan will never happen. Nigeria is not a country that is short of plans. It's not at all. We have so many plans, so many projects. The major problem is honesty.
The All Progressives Congress plans to promote the ideals of the present administration through these rallies that would be in other states of the Federation in the coming days. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, violence mars opening of Lagos State All Progressives Congress governorship rally in Ikeja. Please stay with us.